Today, we're diving into a really powerful metaphor about performance, choice, and, the feeling of being judged. And it all revolves around this one single figure, standing alone in the middle of a giant arena.
You know that line, right? It's from Gladiator, where Maximus is just screaming at the crowd, while the author of the material we're looking at today says he feels that exact same way, like he's a spectacle, performing just for everyone else's amusement.
And here's our main character for this whole idea, the Rodeo Clown. Their problem, which comes from a short poem written back in 2020, isn't really about a rodeo. It's a metaphor for the huge choices that we all have to face.
Okay, so first up, the performer's arena. Let's set the scene. We're in a space that is just thick with expectation. And this is where a really crucial and honestly a very lonely choice has to be made, over and over again.
This is it. This is the core conflict, repeated like a drumbeat throughout the poem. It's so stark, so simple, but it is everything. There are just two options, again and again, the barrel and the bull.
So what do these two things really represent? Well, the barrel, that's the illusion of safety, right? It's a place to hide, it's the predictable choice. The bull, though, that's the complete opposite. That's the thrill of risk. It's confronting a challenge head-on when you have no idea how it's going to turn out.
And you know what's really fascinating? It's what the poem says doesn't matter. The rider who just got tossed, the weather, how much money is on the line, even the crowd itself. When you're facing this huge choice, all that other stuff, it's just background noise. The poem makes this crystal clear. No one will help him choose. This is not a group decision. It is a solitary choice, made right there in the spotlight, where the performer is completely and totally alone.
All right, part two, for their amusement. Because see, while the choice is made alone, it is definitely not made in a vacuum. There's an audience watching, and the reaction is, well, it's complicated.
So at first glance, it sounds amazing. You hear this huge, universal roar from the stands. Everyone is cheering for the clown. It feels like this great moment of unity.
But here comes the twist. That big, unified cheer, it's just an illusion. The crowd is actually deeply, fundamentally split on what they want to see happen next. It's split right down the middle. Half the crowd, they're cheering for the safety of the barrel. They want to see the clown play it safe. But the other half, they're cheering for the horns of the bull. They want the drama, the risk. It kind of shows you something about us, doesn't it? We want people to be safe, but we're also kind of drawn to the spectacle of danger. So here's the kicker. No matter what you choose, you're only ever going to make half the people happy.
And years later, in a 2026 reflection, the author really ties this to his own life. He says that in the end, people just like the show. And that kind of reveals the heartbreaking idea at the center of this whole metaphor, that feeling that you're just a performance and you're being judged on how entertaining you are.
So, let's zoom out for part three. Life is the main event. Because this was never really just about a clown in an arena. The author is making a much bigger point here, that this is about the performance of our everyday lives.
This line from the poem just elevates the whole metaphor. The argument here is that everything in life, all the complexities, our hopes, our failures, what everyone expects from us, it can all be boiled down to this one repeating fundamental choice: safety or risk.
And make no mistake, we are all performers. The poem talks about the metaphorical costumes we wear, the all-too-real makeup we hide behind, and even the noble mission we give ourselves. All of these are just parts of the role we play in our own personal main event.
You know, this wasn't just some random idea for the author. The original poem was written way back in 2020. But 6 years later, in 2026, he was still thinking about it, still reflecting on it. That tells you just how much this idea stuck with him.
So this brings us to our final section, the clown's fate. After all this, where does it all leave our performer? What is the ultimate fate of the rodeo clown?
There is no final victory. There's no, and they lived happily ever after. The poem is very clear that making a choice, it doesn't matter if it's the barrel or the bull, it doesn't end the show. It just resets the stage for the exact same choice all over again. It's a loop.
And that's the powerful and kind of bleak conclusion. This endless cycle of performing, choosing, and being judged by a divided crowd, that is the fate of the rodeo clown. It's just an inescapable part of being in the arena at all.
And so we want to leave you with this question to think about. As you stand there in the center of your own arena, with your own crowd cheering for completely different things, what is your barrel and what is your bull?